Hello, and welcome to episode 11 of the Frivolous and Frugal Knitting Podcast. We're two sisters who just want to share our fondness of knitting, the things that we create, and the love of our knitting communities. And we do it all with a little twist of both the frivolous and frugal. So with that being said, I am Frivolous Dawn.
Well, and I am Frugal Ms Penny, and I want to give a heartfelt thanks and welcome back to our returning viewers. We know that you have limited viewing time, so we appreciate you making time to stop in and to stop in on our chats. We're getting some wonderful dialogue on our YouTube channel and Ravelry, so thanks so much for doing that. And if you're a new viewer to our podcast, thanks so much. We know that, again, there are many options. So thanks for joining us. And we hope that after today's episode, you will be able to take home a nugget or two from our musings and gleanings and sharings. That's not alliteration, but that would be backwards.
That was pretty good.
And we're sisters from a large family. So I am the oldest of 8, and Dawn?
I am the middle child of 8, the fourth, and I never should have said last week, baby princess, because that's gotten a lot of play this week. So just so we know, and this should be the name of our episode. Get out of here.
By suggestion, people have asked for our conversation bubbles back, and here is a bedazzled Princess Dawn.
And where's the queen?
Watch your P's and Q's. She's on the throne.
I serve at the pleasure of the queen. And so, what's up? Well, we can just kind of talk about what we've learned this week as we go, but why don't you say what Pearl's wearing and what you're wearing?
I will. Before I do that, quickly get your best note-taking device, grab your knitting and your sense of humor. And if this has already been too much, you might want to turn this off now because I'm not sure it's going to improve. Okay, so well, I don't think that's an overstatement. Do you?
Not at all.
Yes, please. Pearl is sporting yet another Willow cowl that I made, and it again is in Knit Circus's Lavish Space and in the colorway Over the Rainbow. And for those of you who have knit the Willow, you know that you can adjust the pattern to make it as deep as you want. So this is a rather deep cowl. So in the midst of COVID-19, she could probably put it all the way over her head like a backward snood because it's deep.
Please do not do that while you're driving, but yes.
Right.
In the drive-through, that may work.
That's true. So what's around your neck?
This is Gleam. It's a pattern by Helen Stewart, and it was part of the Shawl Society. I think the last one, Shawl Society 4.
Must be because I didn't knit it in the previous shawl.
And when those Shawl Societies came out, I used to knit every single one. This time, I think this is the only one I knit. But this was a yarn by Hedgerow Fibers. Silky, it's like a silky merino twist, and it's in the colorway Enchanted Garden. And I think her whole series was based off that book, The Secret Garden. This was from England. And of course, I ordered it for the shawl that had just come out. This was the preferred yarn,
right?
But it had to come from England. So this is like a couple shawls later. So, okay, look at this. I have wings.
You do have wings.
Yeah, kind of like maxi pads. Okay, can't go there. Okay.
We're talking about COVID masks. I think we suggested that last week. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to turn the ship around here and write it. I am wearing Quicksilver by Melanie Berg. Don't you just love her patterns?
I do.
You know, she can sport stripes like no one else I know. And I knitted in our school colors. So we have school color day every Friday. So I wear this every Friday. Yeah.
That is so nice.
I used Cascade sock yarn and Malabrigo sock.
Okay.
So just some nice little workhorse yarns. And I believe I bought those when we were at Elgin Knitworks.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think we did.
Yeah.
That was a good trip. We have to go back there.
We do. It was nice.
All right. So what's off the needles?
Well, I'll
Want
go
me to
first.
go? Yeah, go ahead. Go
Yeah, it
first.
doesn't matter. I have spoken of this, but I didn't show you. This is the pattern Alliteration, which basically is a very simple stockinette tube scarf that has, on my scarf, 2x2 ribbed ends.
Yeah,
And
I like
I
that.
am using all of my bits and bobs from socks or any fingering weight yarn that I have, and Dawn is contributing a vast amount. And many thanks to my brother-in-law, Steve, who very kindly wraps them up. What do you call them? Puts them in a ball
Yep.
for me. So I really like this. Now, I think you can be just as creative as you want. So now you can really see how it is just wonky fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is really long, isn't it?
It is. It's supposed to be 50 inches long, but I'll tell you, Dawn, I think mine is close to 61, and it's not quite long enough to wear it like I'd want to wear it in the summer or in the winter.
Oh, sure.
So I guess maybe I'm going to have to go for 67, 68 inches if I do, well, when I do it again, as I'm doing it again. But anyway, for those of you who love to play with color and know nothing about it, this is the best thing to do. So
And
I
I
do
think,
have a color wheel out, but anyway, go ahead.
most people who've knit for a while have that stash of leftovers.
I
And so
know.
you can do scrappy blankets, you can do, and the blanket seems to have gotten the most airplay as far as, crochet granny stripe or the mitered square.
Right.
But I think that is a brilliant way to use your scraps. Now, this was the one, how many stitches did you cast on for that one?
I cast on 100 on a size 3. Now I'm a tight knitter. So I would say my fabric is probably tighter than most people's on a size 3. The 100 isn't wide and I like it. I think it'd be great for a quick wrap around your face if you're walking through blustery Chicago in the winter. But it's just that skosh too wide. So, as we'll talk about later, I've cast on another one and I have only cast on 94. Because I'm using a 2x2 rib at the bottom, all my stitches have to be a multiple of 4.
Oh, sure.
So, I'm going to keep playing. Hopefully, I'm going to hit the sweet spot, because what I'd like to do is find just the right spot for an adult scarf and then one for children's scarves, because I think our granddaughters would love a fun, colorful scarf. And this is just way too big for them.
Yeah, I would agree. And I like that 2x2 ribbing on both ends. I think that just kind of cinches it. And
You know what I'm going to do next time, though, Dawn? I am going to go down a needle size to pucker it just a little more. One of our knitting friends, Blue Doxy Dye Works, said she makes her scarves with the cuff at the end so she can tuck her hands in it, which is a brilliant idea.
yeah, I think that is good.
Yeah, so I think if I cinch it just a little bit more with at least one size smaller needle, it would make it a nice cozy fit.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
And
What about you?
It'll go with anything.
It absolutely will.
Well, it must be yet another Melanie Berg day, because look at that. That is Verdon. Let me see if I can just pull it off. It was, I think I bought the yarn at Stitches Midwest last year.
Okay.
And it was in the yarn that she did the original one in, which is rosy green wool. Now, it's huge. So again, her play on stripes.
Yep.
But this pattern drove me insane. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
You start, on the corner.
Right.
And so you knit. And then when you join the new yarn, I could not get that to be a straight line. And so it was a lot of short rows and stuff. And I bet I tried this area right in here 8 times. And I thought I couldn't get it to lay right, especially like here where they join.
Mm-hmm.
It just puckered and it just didn't look right. And so all short rows. So I tried the one she has in the pattern and I thought, oh, that's a little wonky. So I literally tried every short row technique out there. and I couldn't get it to where it looked rectangular. And I was just about to quit when I saw on Leading Men's podcast, I think it's called Dramatic Knits, Steve was doing it, and his looked fine. At the time I saw his podcast, a couple of the gals from Magpies were actually at the Leading Men's retreat down in Central Illinois. So I sent him a text and say, hey, talk to Steve and ask him what he did. And they took a picture. It was beautiful. He said a lot of it'll block out. Just trust the pattern. And you know what? I just went back and I just trusted the pattern. She knew exactly what she was doing. But it is long. And I love that little lace section.
I do too.
So, and also look how wide it is.
Oh.
So 4 skeins. I would tell you the colorways, but I can't pronounce most of them.
Okay.
So I'm going to guess that they're German in nature. And again, it's Verdon or Verdon. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. And if I remember right, it's a place she went to, and she was inspired by the landscape.
Could that be
so,
Italy?
I don't know. Yeah. You could say anything, and I'd go, oh, yeah, I think so. Now I don't know what to do to put this back up there. So why don't you talk, and I'll put this back up.
I'll do that. The next things that I have off my needles, and by the way, Dawn will cringe, but they're in their trusty Ziploc storage bag. And I know some of you will say, you don't need to put 100% acrylic yarn in a Ziploc bag. And you are absolutely correct. But I do that just for organizational purposes. My dear Grandma Ann, when she lived with us, bought me a Mary Maxim Ragg Christmas stocking kit. And so it has 4 different patterns, and I knit 2 of those stockings. So every summer when my granddaughters come, we have what we call Camp D-Dub, and they stay with me for a week, and it's always themed, and we do all sorts of fun things. So during Camp D-Dub, my middle granddaughter picked out which of the grandchildren would get which pattern. So I've knit up 2 of them. I'd like to get the other 2 done sometime before they graduate from high school. And
so there were 4 in the kit, or there were 4 separate kits?
No. There was 1 kit, and I'm going to squeak out 4.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that is like really bad frugal. Really bad.
I'm telling you what, adjust that needle size, and I could probably get a half a dozen.
And are those little German short row heels, huh?
You know, they are. And I will tell you that I'm playing with the toes. I am not one who likes a pointed toe. I really like a rounded toe.
I do too.
So I tried a couple. This one was just way too pointed. And then I messed around with the heel over here to change it. Now they're just Christmas stockings that I'm going to stuff goodies in. So it's not as though they need to wear them, but I'm just playing with it.
Could you imagine trying to wear that? That would be like for Hagrid and Harry Potter.
So I'm just playing with them a bit and enjoying them. And so it's a very nice little pattern and easy to throw in the washing machine and wash. So.
And you know, the kids will remember that. That's the coolest part of it all. It doesn't matter what it's.
Hope so.
Although about your project bags, we need to have an off-camera discussion.
Look at this one is even numbered on.
Get out. Number 19 means
19.
what?
That's what I know that in number 19 I have my Christmas stockings.
As opposed to number 18.
Number 18 has my brickless and my purless scarf. Now I'm making that up because I can't remember what number 18 is. But just to add to this, I had these as small little gifts, not gifts, activities. As teachers, we have like what we call centers where students can move around and do different activities. So I had 24 different activities in these Ziploc bags the year that Ziploc bags first came out. And so when I changed the activities, I just kept the bags and I'm reusing them.
Why wouldn't you?
See, you're catching on.
All right. I'm looking around my table and I don't see a Ziploc, but I see some really nice project bags.
I am going to say this right now.
Okay,
I am going to try to use a project bag.
You better. I gave you one.
I know. I'm going to try to use it.
Okay, so I'm on the other extreme. I want one of Hohi's project bags. I know. And it's like,
Okay.
I need another project bag, like I need a hole in my head. And then I finally talked myself out of the, whoa, whoa is right.
Whoa.
I know. And I'm thinking, oh, I really don't need one. And then I think, okay, I'll splurge. I'll get one. Then I was like, nope, I really don't need one.
No,
Anyway.
because your brain's telling you you're going to be the only person in Wisconsin without one.
Exactly. How'd you know? And if I'm buying one for me, I might as well buy one for you. What the heck?
Don't. Give me a new box of Ziplocs. Hey, so what else is off your needles?
You know, I finished the little Bumble hat by Tin Can. Or it's called Bumble by Tin Can Knits. Now, this is a child's hat, but on a styrofoam lady's head. But you know, it's one of those patterns that are reversible. But here's my dilemma. It's for a little 6-year-old girl, one of my students' daughters, and she wants 2 pom-poms. Well, she said 1 pom-pom's cool, 2 pom-poms are really cool. So I made a pom-pom out of one of those clover ones like you were talking about, but I think it's too big for 2, right? Maybe 1, that's okay.
Yeah, I think
but
it looks
don't you think if there were 2, that would be almost Mickey Mouse-ish? Mickey
Mouse-ish? I like it.
I just made a word. Mickey Mouse like. Yeah, so I went ahead and ordered a smaller clover pom-pom maker. And I still have 50 grams of yarn left, so I'll do that. And then I'll make sure that I get a picture of her wearing it. So
please do.
I still have a couple of those to do for students' kids.
By the way, your pom-pom is nice and full. You did a nice job on that.
Yeah.
I know you said last time that you felt like you weren't putting enough yarn, but I think you did a nice job on that one.
Yeah. Now, the only thing I wish I would have done is, you know, when you're done and you cinch it, I wished I'd have cinched just a tad tighter, but I was worried about breaking the yarn. But there's just a little give in there. So I think if you were to wash this, you'd get some pullouts.
Okay.
But not that you would wash a pom-pom, I suppose. But.
Well, same thing happens when you wash your hair. You get a few fallouts, don't you?
You do. And I don't ever want to look down and see that. It's like, I don't think I'm growing it that fast, so I can't lose it at that rate. Wow. So what are you working on, or what you been working on this past week?
Well, you know what? I mentioned earlier that I'm trying a new alliteration scarf. So for those of you who don't know me, I will oftentimes knit a pattern more than once because I knit so many gifts. If I like it, it's enjoyable, so I knit it. So here is my new alliteration scarf, and you can see where I changed that needle size at the bottom.
Yeah, that looks nice.
It does look nice, doesn't it? So I decreased the size. This is a bit sassier than the other one already.
I love it. Yeah,
I do too. I'm really enjoying this one. So I only cast on 94 stitches. I wouldn't say that there is a marked difference, but there is. I didn't think there would be. Now I haven't blocked it yet, but if you look, even though it's only 6 stitches, it does decrease the width of that scarf.
It does.
So I don't know if 94 is the sweet spot yet. I am going to drop down next to 86, I think. I'm going to give that, or not 86. 88. I don't know. 88. Thank you.
About your Iowa math.
Yeah, I never did get to that family of 2.1 children. Couldn't figure out the decimal, so just rounded up to 5. So anyway, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just keep knitting it, and I'm going to go for 65 to 68 inches.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
And then make sure you weigh it when you're done.
Because, I never thought about that.
Because then you'll know too how much yarn you have in it. I don't know if it's really important in the big scope, but it'll be interesting to see, because I think that gives me a nice mental picture of how much yarn I really have left over and the amount of projects I could do with it.
That's a very good idea.
So you could take it with you to the grocery store and put it on the scale there.
While I'm wearing my mask. That won't look at all suspicious.
And then one last thing I just noticed. So you have black on the ends. You must scatter black then throughout.
You know, I like that sharp contrast of black, and I'm trying to change the different widths of the yarn as I go. So black is just, or a very dark blue. I like that that sharp contrast.
I do too.
And you know, this just reminded me of something, Dawn. I pulled this yarn from a leftover sock blanket, and can you see I did not re-soak it and
yep.
dry it. So it looks a bit wonky. I'm not concerned about that. It's going to come out with the next one. Wash.
It is, but that is the weirdest look too, isn't it? When you've used yarn that you've pulled out and
And
it's
can
got
I
that
show
little
one more
kinks in it.
thing?
Absolutely.
My next one, I'm going to purposely do jogless stripes.
Oh
So
yeah.
if you look back here, you can see that it's not jogless. You can see that stripe where I tie in. So again, I'm going to tweak that pattern just a little bit, or that recipe, to make it my own. Okay, I've talked way too much. Now it's your turn.
And I think Michelle Hunter has a nice video on the jogless. Okay.
Oh, that's good to know. Thank you.
Stand by for some brilliance. All right. Okay, so you know the sizzle pop. I'm obsessed with brioche. It started. There it is.
Dawn, I can see those metallic colors.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you wild woman.
Now the little pins or the markers you're seeing are just repeats. So I put the marker in when I'm done with the repeat and there's no mistakes or no obvious mistakes. So there it is on the back. I don't think it's nearly as
Stunning.
Yeah, contrasting, but yeah. So Pam's doing it too with me, and she is using yarn that is not quite as contrasting, but it still looks really nice too. And so yeah, this is absolute concentration knitting. It has to be, for me, I do best in the morning. I'm not listening to a book. I'm not watching a podcast. I am sitting at my kitchen table and I'm talking in brioche language. So if you walk by, you're thinking, ooh, she's kind of lost it.
Please.
Yeah, because like a brioche knit's called a bark.
A bark.
And a brioche purl is called a burp. So I'm sitting at yes, I'm sitting at my kitchen table barking and burping. But yeah, so this is Northbound Knitting, their silk. It's a 50-50 silk to merino, and this is called Metallurgy. And it is the silver, the gold, and the bronze. And then the black is from Leading Men Fiber Arts. It's their Diva. I think their Diva line is silk. I don't know the percent of silk off the top of my head. And
imagine you picking Diva yarn. Nope.
You wait till next week. I'm gonna have some thought bubbles. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you could. But before you do, I just have to show you something.
What does that say? Queen of everything.
I just happened to be sporting it today. Anyway, go ahead.
That looks really nice.
Thank you.
I serve at the pleasure of the queen.
No, please keep telling me about your brioche barking and burping.
Yeah, so anyway, in the beginning, there's some, well, of course, brioche is all about increases and decreases. And some of them, like you do a 4-stitch decrease all in one stitch. And so your stitches are layered kind of. I don't know if that's a good word, but there's 10 steps to that one stitch. So in the beginning, I'd have to have a video up and I literally would go right along with the video.
Okay.
So now I'm starting my fourth repeat. Now I don't need the video, but I have to sit there and talk myself through that stitch. And the other thing, just kind of on a whim here, I never thought about this. Amy gave me these. She is part of the Loopy Club or the Loopy Groupies or whatever they're called. I think that's a yarn store in Colorado. And this is by Katrinkles, but it's brioche basics. And I know you probably can't see it there.
Look at
so I have those in front of me too, because that is priceless. And so, and then Leslie Ann Robinson is the designer. And I think her company is called Knit Graffiti. she does a nice job in her pattern of telling you what to do without overcomplicating it. Because that's the hard part for me with brioche is I don't need it so overcomplicated that I can't work through it reasonably. Because like anything else, I'm going to do 100 of these and feel much better than I did on the first ones. And so if I had to guess, my stitches will be more even toward the end of the shawl than they are now. So, but I'm hoping maybe there's 11 repeats of the pattern for the shawl, and I'm only on the 4th one, so it'll be a little bit before I'm done. Because
Well, I'm so
obviously each
proud of
repeat,
you.
thank you, each repeat obviously gets longer too, so it'll take longer to do.
Right.
But yeah, that's the
You're
brioche.
tenacious. You are
Well,
willing to
I don't
learn
know.
and work.
Yeah, I don't know why my obsession, because then the next shawl, of course, will be Diva.
Well, and
Oh
why would you
yeah.
be?
Yeah,
You
why
might
not? It's okay.
as well wear my apron while you knit it.
Or you,
It's been bedazzled. It has a few little gemstones on it.
yeah, or your crown. All right, I'll do whatever you tell me to do because I serve at the pleasure. All right, so are you working on anything else?
I am. So at your suggestion, I'll just show you a couple quick things. There's really nothing to add. And for our viewers, I realized yesterday I am knitting 5 projects simultaneously. So none of them get huge amounts of time, but Dawn suggested just marking where I'm at. So on the Kevin Costner sweater, you can see my stitch marker from last week. I don't know, is that maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches? That's all I knit. So I did make progress, and I'm thankful for that, and I'm knitting on it now because it's easy. My channel cable pillow cover, however, I'm very pleased with. It has a 36 row repeat.
Look at that.
I know. Last week I was down here at the end of the first repeat. Now I only have 4 or 5 rows to finish the second repeat. There is a 3rd repeat, and then I'll start on the back side of that.
I can't wait to see that done. That is spectacular.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very nice. And I forgot how fun it is to just have a short amount of stitches, knit through them, change, knit through them. Just the variety of it keeps me engaged. So I do like that.
Yeah, and,
so those are the things that are on my needles, beside my granny stripe blanket.
Sure. And I have a confession. I was a little overzealous last week, thinking I could knit 5 hours a day and sleep. So, yeah, so I don't know. I will, of course, finals is over now, so I just have meetings this next week, but I'm hoping to get a little bit more time to knit.
Me too. I'm trying to knit during the meetings.
I do too, yeah. So now the last thing on my needles is I'll just give you an update on Goldfish Memory by Casa Pinka. So, oh look, a stitch marker. Ha ha, yeah. Novel. So that's where I was last week. So again, this is Leading Men Fiber Arts.
Look at you.
Yeah, so I finished that section. I think that was section 4. The striped section, oh no, 5, because this is 6. This is my halfway point. And then now, just last night, I started the lace, which is out of that green. Dirty Truce, I think is the name of it. But I'm just thinking it's not going to be long enough if that's halfway until you hold it up this way. And then that is, just a tad, yeah. Tad over wingspan. So I still haven't fixed my error, as you can see. But
why would you? There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, instead of where's Waldo, where's the error? Yeah, so I'm liking it. Like you said, I think it's 100 and some stitches, so it's not a bad. And then when you're doing something like this, you can do that in a meeting. You can do that when we're knitting virtually. The lace, not so much. I tried that last night and didn't get very far before there was an error. So yeah, that's what's on my needles. We always like to think about what it is we're learning or what it is we're doing and where our inspiration comes from. So what's up with you this week did you learn anything or thinking about anything?
Well, I did. And because of my impulsive, spontaneous nature, I'm not going to follow our show notes. I'm going to add something that I learned last night, sis. As I was getting ready for today, I wanted to be able to tell our viewers about Quicksilver. And I realized I did not put Quicksilver into Ravelry. I don't know why. I have no idea why. Oh, I do know why. It is not intuitive for me. I've never tracked my knitting. In all the years I've knit, I didn't track my knitting. So Dawn has helped me become a better curator of my finished projects in Ravelry for the benefit of others who might be considering the pattern. And so last night I sat there. I can't tell you when I officially cast on nor cast off. And I had to ponder for quite a while what yarn I used. So that's my big lesson for the week. I just need to make it a routine, and I'll have to work on that. That'll be something I'm going to have to learn how to do for the sake of the community, you know?
Yeah, and I often will go into a pattern and then look at the projects and then start perusing all those pictures. And not only do I like to look at color combinations, but some people write fairly detailed notes, like if they made an adjustment or if they found that this was a good place to change a needle size, or they added a little, different twist. I appreciate being able to do those and look at those. And, some of the designers have thousands of projects. Some people just have 3 or 4 projects that are being worked from that pattern, and it's nice to see. So, yeah, Ravelry is, it can be a black hole though for me. So I'll go on and I'll start to put my project in, and then a squirrel. Next thing you know, I'm looking at, the new patterns that are out, and then it just goes on and on. So I have to be pretty careful that I don't waste oodles of time surfing through. And I think that kind of leads to what I would thinking about a lot this week is, where does our inspiration come from? And so as much as I have FOMO, I want to do what everybody is doing out there. It's interesting who you look at. For me personally, who do I look at for that inspiration? In every little yarn shop I go to, there's different people who are working on projects different than what I am. And I become inspired because of the yarn they picked, the design they picked. So, I virtually knit with a couple of different groups. And so one of them is the group here in town from Silver Thimble Quilt Shop and Yarn Shop. We have our leader there as far as like who our teacher is. So Tina, and I'm telling you, she's brilliant. She's brilliant with how she teaches. I watched her teach last week in a group video like this.
Really?
Just her ability to articulate, to describe. And it was a sweater, something about picking up the armhole or something. I don't even know what that means. I don't know, but I don't even know, but I could sit there and understand what it is she was trying. So I'm inspired by that kind of ability to teach. And then one of the gals, Cindy, she was showing us a scarf, and I think it's an older pattern by Stephen West called the Boneyard.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the yarn she picked for that was spectacular. So of course, Nan's at the store. So she runs over to the racks and comes back and shows us all the colors that yarn's available in. So, okay, I'll take that one and that one. Yeah, I'll settle up with you later, but put my name on it. So that I'm inspired by. And then the Magpie group, just to see what those ladies are working on. And again, a lot of people are doing Breathe and Hope right now, which was Casa Pinka's. And to see the different color combinations that have been put together, I find amazingly inspiring. And then right next to my chair where I sit and knit is a Melanie Berg book. And so some nights I just sit and flip through that just for that. What is it that makes you want to keep going, or what's your next project? Now, I need to learn a little self-control though, because I do a little shopping as soon as I'm inspired. So I may have some yarn on the way again.
Oh,
But
imagine that.
Yeah. So then, of course, this week, what really inspired me was the sign up for Leading Men Fiber Arts knit retreat. And thank you last night for reminding me. I was an hour late to the website, but I was still able to get a spot. So that is the weekend before Thanksgiving in Central Illinois. So now I just have to magically work it out with my job.
Well, I
So,
wonder if anyone's still interested in signing up. There were still openings last night. So if you go to their website near the bottom, you will see 3 options for lodging. And that, I believe, when you click to add to cart, allows you to sign up for your space.
yeah. So I'm
So,
excited by that.
yeah.
And we don't know where the COVID will be in November, but at least it was inspiring for me to sign up. And I'm sure they'll have little contests like they do at ZK. And then ZK offered a virtual ZK this year, some different packages on,
Oh, they did. I didn't
yeah,
realize that.
yeah. So like you can sign up and you'll get to hear the speaker on Friday night. They're going to keep it the same day. Some of the teachers are going to go with virtual lessons. And so you get your goodie bag too. And so I just don't know. I'm just finding inspiration from a lot of different things. And that'll spur me on to what's next because I have a bunch of shawls lined up.
I
But
was, oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Nope, go ahead.
One of the things we were chatting with was last week, I think it was, when we were talking about the Knit Girls summer program and why can I stash dash. So I did some research and stash dash begins Friday, May 22nd. So anybody who does that, it's just you set a personal goal on how much yarn you want to complete by the summer. So you can have a project right now that's just partially finished, like a UFO. And if you finish it after May 22nd, you get the meterage of the entire project. So since we're working on so many UFOs right now, I'm thinking maybe we should do the Frivolous and Frugal podcast should maybe do I don't know, what would you call it? A UFO along? or
Absolutely.
And if we start at the same time as Stash Dash, then people who want to double dip could do that. But then maybe with a little quarantine flair, maybe
I
once a
like
month,
it.
we can put a Zoom link in our Ravelry page.
And do like
And
live
yeah,
UFO
knit along.
knit
Yeah.
along. Let's do it. I'm
Yeah.
in the game.
And maybe that way they can meet Nikki.
Oh, yes.
Because I think, so Penny and I knit with our niece every Friday night, and then Nikki and her friend too. We would just expand that and try it. There may be nobody who joins, or there may be a couple, but it might be fun just to sit and knit virtually since we can't be together. So
I think that's a plan, Stan.
so let's try to come up with a name that's better than a
UFO
UFO.
knit along.
And if we're really bougie, cool.
Oh,
If we're really cool, we'll have a hashtag.
oh, stop the
I have
madness.
I have no idea what that means or how that works, but I'll figure it out by then. Or Brianna will have to teach me.
I'm sure there's a YouTube video.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been thinking about this week. And of course, I suppose my major lesson learned is from my Melanie Berg. Trust the people who write the pattern.
Isn't that the truth? I
Because
know.
they've sat there and have done it. And maybe they tried all the other things that I was thinking and it didn't work. So I don't think, I don't need to, I think sometimes I underestimate the pattern and I just need to trust the pattern and go with it.
Well, I believe you've said before, it's amazing what blocking does to a garment.
Yeah.
And if we could just keep that in the back of our mind, just wait until you block it. Which goes back to what we said last week, just don't tuck all your ends in. So if after you block it, you don't like it, frog it and redo it.
Right.
After all, this is not a contest. And I think that's something important that I'm learning. It's not a contest. It's not by who knits the most wins. It's about being inspired to create something that reflects you or reflects where you're at that point.
Yeah. And I love that even though we can't see people face to face right now, be with them, physically in the same space, we can be inspired lots of different ways. So
yeah, thanks for that. That's a good tidbit. You're
Sure.
so deep and profound. I love that.
Oh, knock it off.
Listen, you're my
But
favorite youngest sister.
I serve at the pleasure of the queen.
Yeah,
All right.
keep
I'm pretty
that
sure I
rolling
need a.
through. Hey, listen, it's about time to wrap up.
Oh, very good.
So,
Okay.
do you want to tell everyone how they can find us on social media?
Absolutely. So we're on all the social medias as far as the ones we know anyway, Instagram, Facebook, and Ravelry. You can join our group on Ravelry by going to the groups tab and then just typing in Frivolous and Frugal. And that's where Penny posts the show notes. She'll also post the show notes on the down bar here. And that usually happens very quickly after the video is posted. Feel free to like and subscribe on YouTube because then you'll be notified of whenever we drop. We're going to try to put an episode out every week or so as long as we're in quarantine. And then in the show notes, Penny will give you all the details of like our email addresses and our Ravelry names. So keep up the fun comments. I really got a bang out of seeing all the queen and princess stuff last week. And if there's anything else you think we should probably cover or a great topic for us to discuss, we are really open to suggestions. So
Absolutely. So we're wrapping up episode 11, and we're hoping that your knitting will be a sweet twist to the frivolous and frugal. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
all right, bye-bye.